It's a Billion Dollar Bartender. My name is George Nwokocha, your host, G Walk. So today we're going to do something a little different. I think my first episode, I spent a lot of time doing this, trying to, read off a script that I had a line, outline, all these points that I had to hit. But today, ripping the script up, and I'm going to just tell you straight up what I think about the game, some insights, and this way I can flow a little bit more smoother and be able to talk to you like I'm talking to my guests at the bar. I think this is a better approach, and it doesn't lose you, and we just have more of a better you and me relationship. So here we go. Today's topic is going to be about gratuity. All right. This is one of my favorite topics, and this is one of the reasons that we all got into this game to begin with. Right. So, if you recall, the first three episodes has been trying to get you like in that frame, that mindset, about what it takes to be a bartender. So it's kind of like boot camp. That's what we're doing here. We are trying to develop the bartender. All right. So you can make some big bread. So, how do we get there? Let's start talking about compensation, gratuity, tips. When you want to find a good job, it has a lot to do with that menu. So, make sure when you are job searching for restaurant jobs, we're focused on just restaurant jobs right now, bartending, server, sommelier, and just roles that really involve us passing those consumers whose beverage of choice is alcoholic beverages and spirits. We're here to deliver, but it comes at a cost. So we get compensated well for what we do. So with that being said, if you're looking for a gig, obviously the menu is going to determine what your bottom line and what your take home is going to be. Because look at each item on that menu and just calculate everything. Calculate a family coming in there and spending some good bread with you. What's that family's final check looking like? Does a family of five end up with a check that's like $75? Does a party of five end up with a check that's a buck 25? Does a party of five have a check that's like $500 or $600? So those amounts will help you determine what your compensation would be. So the baseline right now is 20% across the board is where you want to be. Now, you might work in places where you're getting constantly 10, 12, 15, 16, 17%. My friends, that is not the place we want to be. All right. That's a good starting point, but we want to eventually evolve in the game and be in situations that put us at the right, I guess, the right position to be able to reap those rewards of those big checks. So when you're looking for these jobs, you need to really focus on that menu. Look at the menu. Look at the prices on the entrees. Look at the prices of the starters apps. Look at the price of the sides. Is the side like a $3 or $4 side? Is the side like a $10 or $12 side? Or is the side like hovering over like $20? So just start doing the math whenever you are looking for a gig. Look, the menu will tell you everything. And also, they have a cocktail menu that says a lot. They have a wine menu. Now we're talking. All right, because it's all about average, guess average. Now let's talk about what the back end, what the our managers and owners are looking at. The metric that they're gauging at is the per person average. How much is each individual person that comes into your restaurant spending for their meal? Okay. They're not including gratuity. They're just assuming how much is that person coming to spend. Are they going to spend like when they start? Are they going to get like a glass of Sancerre? Are they going to get a nice Barolo? Are they going to get like a nice IPA just to start the evening? Maybe a martini. So they're gauging it as to when that first person steps into our establishment, what's that first few minutes looking like? Is that first few minutes looking like they're going to be looking for Miller Lite, High Life? Are they going to be looking for a Stella? Are they going to be looking for a Budweiser? Are they going to be looking for IPA? They might just shift gears completely and just come in there one Macallan 18, or they might want an Oban 14 year. They might say, switch up the script here. Let me go ahead and get me a nice gin martini. You know about those gin martinis, right? About not shaking the gin martinis unless you want the mean stare of a billionaire looking at you like you just tanked the stock market. So again, this is a training this is a training podcast, a teaching podcast, uh, but it's coming from billionaires row, like us bartenders who've been in the game for a while, who well versed, and know exactly what we're doing. Now, I'm just trying to tell you, how do you get there? Okay, it's all about that menu. Look at the menu. The menu will tell you if that's a place that you will reap rewards from your hard work. It's nothing like, you're sitting there just killing yourself for 6, 7, 8 hours. And at the end of the day, you don't have anything to show for it. All your hard earned work, your hard work that you put in, like you need to be compensated. So, what does that compensation look like for New York City bartenders? Now, we don't focus on the hourly. Hourly means some, but it's not a significant form of our compensation. But this is just where I work. So each place is set up differently. Some places, it's like the Wild West, where every single bartender server is kind of like a me first approach. So they're trying to get that customer to close out with them before they move on to the next portion of the dining room or restaurant. So it's just kind of like a me first approach. I think a better approach is like a pool house approach, which has some shortcomings too. But a pool house approach is everyone's going to get a piece of that paper. Everyone's going to get a cut of the pie. Some get bigger cuts, some get a smaller slice. But depending how much effort you put into that pool. Like, if you're a bartender, you knocking out the drinks and you processing payments and you conversating with the guests and you're also selling food and just bringing a lot to that pool house. So as a result, you will reap more benefits than someone who's not adding a lot into that labor pool. So they might just simply just be seating the guests and just saying hello. So if you're just seating the guests and saying hello, you can imagine like you probably should not be getting as much money because you got other people who are sitting there greeting the guests, taking orders, busting the table, dealing with them, answering questions, and doing so many micro little steps of service that you know the other people who are behind the scenes might not necessarily be doing. So that's why a pool house is pretty good because you do get your cut and you don't have to necessarily have to, you know, haggle with every customer to close out, please, or, no, you just keep the service flowing, making sure that they're having a good experience. And I like that approach because they know like it's a team effort. We're just here to make sure that you're having a wonderful experience and I don't care about the two, three, four, five, $10, $20 this transaction is going to yield. I'll get it on the back end. When you have had a great time and you look at the bill collectively and you say, you know what, man, they did a pretty good job. Let's give them 25%, right? Because, we're trying to talk about 15% is done. Okay, it's 2025. So if 15% is still your baseline for tipping those people who take good care of you, I don't know about that. We might have to just kind of like increase that percentage. Hit us up with another five percentage points would go a long way. All right. Keep it around 20. Now, don't get me wrong. If the service that you are receiving is not is not exemplary, is not fantastic, then that tip should reflect that. We're not just telling you just go around and just giving everybody who walks there and gives you some service 20%. No, that should be a baseline. Now, it could go down, it could go up, not significantly up, because I mean, you are trying to, save some money for a rainy day and not tip out all your money. But you want to be fair. You want to make sure that, those people who provide a service to you get compensated well. So, gratuity is the best form of showing your gratitude. Now, let's talk about reactions to when you get those tips. Now it's for me, I have a very calm approach. I'm very, very even with the thank you that I give when I get good tips. I'm usually just, thank you so much. Really appreciate that. Thank you very much. Now, every now and then, like you get a tip that's just absolutely ridiculous. And you just didn't really expect that. So every now and then, it's even uncomfortable for me, but I'll just go the extra step and just be like, you know what, thank you so much. I really appreciate that generous gratuity that you gave me. And whenever I can, but that's kind of awkward because I don't want to do that for every guest. But every now and then, like you develop a rapport with the guest, they feel a connection with you, and you just want to just thank them one last time to make sure that you totally acknowledge what they did. Because sometimes someone could leave a $250 tip and walk away. and not realize that you did see the tip. And sometimes in the back of their mind, like, did that bartender know like I just really hooked them up? Really hooked them up. So every now and then I don't want to miss those opportunities to be able to thank the guests that, you know what, I see you, I appreciate you, and that's extremely generous of you. You didn't have to do that, but thank you. I will take that. And I can't wait to see you again. All right. So that's going a bit much, but you get the idea. Like just showing them that you are very grateful for them parting ways with their hard-earned money because they don't have to do that. But sometimes when you just make someone feel special and you listen, that's another thing too. That's another topic. Making sure that we listening to our guests and because they've had long days, you don't know what they're going through. So this is their release, like their release mechanism. Nice friendly bartender who will give them their drink quickly and kind of know how to play them. Like, do they want to talk? Do they want to be left alone? Do they want to, you know, just sit there and just look at the sky and think about, how they're going to avoid the nonsense that their boss is going to, send their way the next day. So, but you get the idea. This business is all about tipping. That's why we work for this, and that's why we're in this game. So I'm kind of giving you ideas that you need to be in the right position. You need to be in the right places. Those menus say a lot about the establishments. It's all about the money. It's all about the bottom line. So as much as I like what I do, I need to get compensated for my time. So now let's talk about what do we make? I don't share what I make. I don't. But my colleagues and all of us who are in that area, we have a kind of a general idea of what we do make. All right. So I'll be honest with you. I think in the Billionaires Row, Midtown Manhattan, if you are a bartender in any one of those high-end steakhouses, hotels, or luxury venues, you're gonna do six figures. All right. So that's the baseline. Just because like New York is an expensive place, you know, the spaces charge a lot for their products. And the corporate guys, they have a tendency to tip 20% across the board, usually for good service. And if it's exemplary, super, super great service, 25, 30% is not unheard of. So, and these are big checks, kind of give you an idea. Like there's bottles of wines that cost 4,000, 5,000, 7,000. There's bottles of wines that also cost $98. There's bottles of wines that cost 79. So it's all about who's throwing a party that night, right? Are they balling out? Is it gonna be just corporate card, throw the card down, let's go, let's boogie. So, but that's not all that keeps us going. Families keeps us going. Those graduations, those anniversaries, those birthdays, those special moments when you just want to celebrate just a wonderful evening with your lovely lady or the man of your life, and you want a nice space where it's busy, it's jamming, it's happening. Seems like it's the happening hot spot to be. And places that deliver that product that are consistent in that regard are usually places with long tenured staff, people who see the end game, long term, building a relationship with guests, treating every guest like it's going to be the last time they ever see him again, right? Because, and I say that because you just want to make sure that it's just a remarkable experience. And it's not the last time we see him again because the last time they came in, they had such a good experience that they want to come back. Okay, so hopefully you kind of get an idea of where we're going. This is a teaching podcast. So, if you go to billiondollarbartender.com, I have plenty of popular cocktail recipes for you, some, best practices and steps to be able to execute some of these drinks and how to batch if you need to. And I just give you just general ideas because this is a teaching thing, but I don't want to sit here and just talk about, equal parts lime juice, equal parts triple sec or Cointreau, or I got the menu for you. But, as we go on, we're going to get very granular with specific cocktails and talk about some things that you should know, and we're also going to venture into wine. We'll talk about what terroir is and how important terroir is to bring you great French wines. And terroir, by the way, is just the landscape. It has everything to do with the minerals in the limestone, the rocks, the wine, the water, everything all has all comes from more or less the area. All right. So these are things that you're going to learn and we're going to talk about. But for the most part, I think this lesson is just trying to tell you that if you need to get in the game, you start small. So I think starting at a local bar, starting like a mom and pop spot just to get your foot in the door. But if you're well versed in this game and you start to learn, about just simple things, before we get to the drinks and how to prepare them, like you need to be able to have that composure, have that, you know, that character that exhibits professionalism, confidence, and be able to hold down the bar and manage the bar under any circumstances because that is what corporate expects you to do. So I didn't have notes today, so it's kind of a little bit all over the place. But I think this is a better approach than me not making eye contact with you and just being lost half the time because half the time I was lost looking at my notes. So this came right from the head, unedited, but at least you get to know who I am. George G. Walk, very, 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 very honest with everything that I tell you. So listen to me. You might learn a thing or two. And, hopefully when we start sharing the segments where you get to send questions in and ask me to tell you specific stories about certain things, I'll be more than happy to share any insights that I have with you in this bartending game. But don't sleep. There's some money in this game. Pay attention, listen. Go to billiondollarbartender.com. You will see some nice recipes there for drinks that everyone's making now. And we're still updating the website to put more information. We'll put some stuff about beers, about ports, and cordials, all the things that you need to know to make you a better bartender. So until next time, thank you so much for tuning in to episode 4. By the way, I didn't forget about this guy Steve Sherman. He's also now doing a little hide and seek with me. The guy's in San Diego, so a good friend of mine. He's got some shows there. He does other things. And this brings me back to one of my other episodes, making sure you are diversifying your skill set. Make sure that you want to learn different skills. Like this podcasting thing is absolutely new to me. It's a new skill that I'm learning. So obviously you'll see some hiccups, but we're gonna get better, 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 better. So I'm back to doing videos, not just audio, because I do need to get used to, you know, mm, building this relationship. So that's what we're doing right now. We're building a relationship with me and the podcast, and we're building a relationship with you, trying to make you a bartender or a better bartender. All right. And along the way, maybe I could learn a thing or two. All right. So thank you so much for your time. Look forward to seeing you soon. And tune into billiondollarbartender.com. All right. I got some good stuff that I've been working on there for you guys for a while now. So you should have a wealth of information, but it's a website that we're still building and still bringing up to speed with all the information that you need. So it can be a utility for you when you are behind that bar and you get stuck on how to make a drink. All right. Thank you again for your time and have a wonderful week. And we'll be in touch. We can't wait to put up our next episode 5. So episode 4 is down. We got it out, Brooklyn. We did it, Brooklyn. So talk to you guys soon and we'll be in touch.